case.
Oh ninjas, kanpai! So yeah ninjas, I had to draw this piece because for some time now I already planned to draw some fan art for this channel. Also to get more views, you know. Because fan art does really great, if you do it great at least. So that's also one of the reasons. I really enjoyed the chapter of One Piece 907, so I really had to draw this drawing of Shanks. Shanks is one of the major characters in One Piece. Like one of the major epic characters. You don't see him a lot in the manga, but still he is really important in the story because he's one of the major triggers for the main character to go on his pirate journey. Like One Piece is a pirate manga about pirates. Also Eiichiro Oda was inspired by Vikings and then found out that, oh wait, Vikings are cool. Like he was inspired by Vicky the Viking and then found out that pirates are a sort of Viking, so later decided to draw a pirate manga. From early age already he enjoyed pirates, as far as I have found on the interweb with interviews and things like that. So yeah, I really wanted to draw something of One Piece at some point, so when this hyped chapter came out, just thought, okay, now I have to get onto it and actually do it, you know, quit procrastinating that fan art stuff. One of the many things I procrastinate these years, but yeah, finally it was time to do it. So in the first piece of this video gonna talk about the way I created this art, and then after I will give you guys a warning for talking a bit about some One Piece spoilers of chapter 907, and if you don't want to hear that you can just mute it down and I give you a timestamp when it is done. And I know some of the people that watch drawing videos just skip right to the end immediately to see the final result. So yeah, you can do that as well if you want. Right over here. So yeah ninjas. So for this piece I mostly used 300 grams normal printer paper. It's like thick printer paper, but it's still like, it's only thicker. So 300 grams. And I chose that paper because of its thickness, so that I can also scratch in with the G-pen. Like the G-pen is this manga pen with, it's like this nib that you put on this thing. Like these are G-pen. Well, basically the nib is the G-pen. So the holder is just the holder itself, and then as you can see the tips are like the G-pen, or yeah, that's how they are called. For the real G's, yes! But yeah, this G-pen scratches in the paper, so that's why I choose a bit thicker paper. You can also do it on thinner paper, but I would recommend thick paper. So that's why I chose the 300 grams paper to scratch in there. I also have this ink bottle where I mixed up certain inks in the past, but I realized that it seems to smudge a bit more, or there's something with it. I'm not actually sure if it's because of the ink. So I took my Sumi G-pen or manga ink, put it in a different little cup like this. It almost looks like they use in One Piece where they drink sake from, only it's round mostly and bigger, at least in that story in One Piece. Or you can put soya sauce in it. It's basically for that, I believe it's intended for, but in this case I used some Sumi ink, put it in here to get the ink itself, so it's not mixed ink. I also only put a little bit in it to not waste the ink, because I don't have a cap for it yet. So probably have to find or order a new bottle of ink with Sumi ink. That's the real Sumi ink, not other ink mixed in with it. So I can only use that bottle for that specific ink. So don't get mixed up with other ink to get the specifications of that ink. Like it seems to dry faster or something. That manga ink is just seems to work better because I did it this way. There were previous drawings where it got a bit smudged. But that aside, so mostly first with this piece, do the sketch part first with a mechanical pencil on thick 300 grams paper. After that, ink it with the G pen with Sumi Ink 180. And after that, colored it with twin markers and Copic markers. Those are two different types of markers. The Copic markers are quite expensive, but they are good of quality. And the twin markers are somewhat like the Copic markers, but way cheaper. And they have a harder brush, depending on which Copic markers you normally use. Because there are different types of Copic markers. And there's one type of twin marker. So far I know. The twin marker has a 2-tip brush, a smaller nib which is hard brush, and a bigger brush that's also hard, so you cannot really blend the colors together. But for the price of $4, €4 over here at least, for 12 of those markers in a box, it's just way cheaper to get it, and that quality is still good. Only thing is you have to remind yourself to not keep it in the sun, or that's what I heard. Do not let your drawing keep too much in the sun, because the sun will let your coloring fade away a bit or something. Like the essence of the colors, the natural color light fades away a bit. So don't leave it in the sun, save it at a dark place or something, in a folder or something like that. Or that's what I would recommend, unless you want to test out if it is true with the sun. I haven't tested out myself yet, but I read it, so yeah, why would they lie? I don't know. You can check it out for yourself. Or just use Copic markers if you have them, or other colors. But for this case, I used Copic markers and twin markers mixed up. Next to that, I have this cup of a little bit from the previous time of this ink. And I also have a little cup where I clean my G pen with water. The leftover water is a bit blackish, so I use that water to make black ink gouache. So for the cape of Shanks, I used a bit of gouache to make the grayish looks on the cape, to make it from a little like dark black to lighter gray to white, or vice versa, a bit playing with that brush to get that certain effect. So I don't do that a lot with the brush. Lately I knew the technique already, and then got reminded on Facebook again. I saw someone use it or talk about it, and then I thought, hey, let's just you know, it is triggered, like, okay, let's do it again in this cape. So I only used it for the cape, that black gouache, and yeah, playing with that type of technique. So I tried to make Shanks as he is. I looked at Google references how he looked like. Also for the cape, I use a bit of a different cape, like in the manga. He has more... Oh, spoilers. Alright, here come the spoilers, and also some reasons why I made the cape it is. So, spoilers from now, and then you can go to the timestamp here to skip the spoiler talk. Gomu Gomu no Jutsu!
Nani sore?
So in this cape I made the cape more like with a black gouache, and I made the cape a bit different than most of the references I saw on Google Images, because when drawing Shanks I wanted to make him actually look like Shanks the best way I could with some reference. But the cape I made a little bit different, because in the latest chapter of the manga he appeared with this cape, or it wasn't that clear, but the foreshadowing was more of this kind of cape and not the cape he usually wears with the pointy ends. But this kind was more like this Jedi-ish, like with a cap, you know, this hoodie kind of cape, or it looked more like that to me at least. Everybody can interpret what they want. You can draw your own Shanks if you think differently or whatever. Comment, yeah, your opinions about that. But that's one of the reasons why I drew the cape as it is. This manga chapter of One Piece 907 was just so hype. Like, I really enjoy Eiichiro Oda's manga. Like, these kinds of chapters are like why I love One Piece, or one of the most epic ones. Like, some chapters might not be as exciting as for some people, but I believe that's part of the story, and also to, I guess, milk out One Piece. But like, Oda has a big story to tell, you know, and he has a lot of things that come in between. And most times those small things, like minor things that seem not important in the manga at first, and later become important, like connected for a later story plot, you know, like this minor character that was back in the hundreds of chapters ago in Fishman Island, an arc where they went visiting mermaids. There was this minor character that did something, but he didn't seem that important back then. He was more like an asshole kind of dude, or yeah. and then right now he came back in the manga, like many chapters later. So like what I love about One Piece is that minor characters don't be forgotten, like the little seeds he plants all over One Piece. That's one of the strong points in his storytelling I really love. You know, I think that's something to learn from, to not, yeah, like with some manga it's like random characters or characters appear, but they are basically later forgotten or not important anymore, or just, you know, it's like but with One Piece it's like sort of a puzzle, you know. Things get introduced way back and then get reintroduced later on again. But maybe it's just like making it up on the fly, but it's cool that it gets connected, because in One Piece the story, I feel like a lot of things gets connected to each other, which makes it like the world makes it look bigger. And also like actual world building, a real kind of world where people exist with politics and characters, everything, you know, that, yeah, connections, like characters are connected to each other. Oh, like this character talks about that character, and in that and then later that other character gets introduced, like foreshadowing, you know. That's I think an important part of this manga. It's really great, probably one of the reasons why Oda's work sold the most copies of manga ever so far. He's like on the top. Maybe also because it's long running, like it's running for 20 years. But yeah, this chapter was really amazing. Also love to see the CP0 reintroduced again. One of the epic scenes is like one of the Yonkos are one of these major characters in One Piece, and they basically are talking to each other like in one page. Like that's one of those scenes, rare scenes. Like the Yonkos are basically really like major pirates, like real life Blackbeard, or like let's say Trump and Kim Jong-un right now are talking to each other. Something like that. But they are more epic characters, you know, like these important characters in the world, and they don't normally, you know, talk with each other. And that's like that character connection, you know, because it got really hyped up in the story, and that's one of the major parts in this chapter. In this chapter also this certain room was introduced, like this big ass room where all the kings, like they are in this holy land, and all the kings get introduced, and you see like basically a clear reference from Game of Thrones, or it seems like it, like with a big chair where like it's like for kings, and all these swords are there in the ground, you know, that each king of their kingdoms puts their sword in there to show their alliance, and like there is no one king, but everybody is equal, or that's what they say. I'm already talking too long, shit. But also in this chapter, this mermaid princess was captured by one of those assholes called celestial dragons. They're basically the gods of the world, and you can compare them to Joffrey, like a little bitch that gets the power in the world. Like they're seen as gods, and they basically can do anything they want without anyone objecting them, even though they themselves don't have a lot of power. They can basically are like, and they can do shit in that world where people have lots of power and shit. But basically celestial dragons, maybe not all of them are that weak, but most of them seems like weak characters themselves. But because they are seen as gods by the world who created the world, they can do whatever they want and no one objects them. So they're like dictators or something, I guess. Yeah, something like that. But basically this dictator bitch, Charles, long time ago in One Piece, like hundreds of chapters ago, there was this epic scene of Luffy, his mermaid friend got captured by this punk, this celestial dragon. Basically all the characters in the story are against. You cannot do anything against it, because he's one of the celestial dragons. He is like a god of the world. You cannot hit him anything. And then the main character was like, I don't give a fucking shit, you hurt my friend, and just punched him all the way, you know, in the ground and shit. Like that was one of the major epic scenes of One Piece, and now that asshole was reintroduced here again, because this is where he lives, basically, and he is has a fetish for mermaids, and especially since he sees a mermaid princess that's like as big as a fucking giant. So he was like, I must have that. So yeah, he wants to capture it and has his own, like they also have still they have slaves in this story, this world, the celestial dragons at least. They have slaves, and he has this big slave that is capturing the mermaid princess Shirahoshi. I was kind of sad that was happening. Like shit, and like all the main characters are now not in the story at the moment of the current chapters because they have to. Oda has to world build the other characters in the story. But it seemed like nothing could be done, and also the assassins CP0 were reintroduced again, which was cool to see. But they were on the side of the celestial dragons. They are basically the dogs of the rulers of the world, or yeah. So this major character Lucci got introduced again, which was cool to see. Like he's a good villain, I believe. I didn't think he would like be their bitch that easily. And also all their main characters or side main characters were against like you cannot capture the princess, but basically again was like you cannot do anything. These celestial dragons are the gods of the world. You cannot do shit about it until something epic happened. Luckily something happened, and another celestial dragon just punched, or with a club punched the dude in the face again, like many chapters ago. Like it's basically the same scene redone again by a different character, and then this character got reintroduced and he says, I'm a celestial dragon. So yeah, there's no arguing with that. A celestial dragon hitting a celestial dragon. So in a few pages that whole mindset from oh shit though, don't capture her, like was relieved again. Maybe it will happen again, but hopefully not. But you never know. But yeah, that was one of the major scenes. And then also another major scene was at the Elders. The Elder Stars are basically sort of the managers or something of the world. It's not really clear who they are, it's still a mystery. But they only get introduced a few times in the manga, like from 100 chapters and over the many chapters that come in One Piece they get introduced. But when they are shown again, it's really epic because yeah, they seem like really important characters and you want to know more of them. So that's also one of the great stuff about One Piece. I enjoy that mystery of those characters. What they in the end will play. They seem like the end bosses or something, to me at least. But then, okay, the last stuff that I want to talk about. One of the major things happens in this chapter, and that is when one of the Yonkos, that's also like a big fish in One Piece, like you see first this cape visiting the Elder Stars, and then you see a close-up of the face, the side of the face. You don't see the scars that I'm drawing right here. You don't see the scars, but so maybe something happened there. Maybe that's also foreshadowing. But basically you see that face, and one of the major Yonkos of One Piece, Shanks, gets into the story again and tells, I want to talk to you guys about a certain pirate. And then that was one of the big cliffhangers, because this is a really important character in the story. One of the major characters that is connected to the main character in a big way, because he was the main inspiration for Luffy, the main character, to go on this pirate adventure. And like, you don't see this character a lot in the story, Shanks, but when you see him, those are the important world building blocks of the story, or at least that's what I believe. But because of his dialogue in the end, if it's translated well, like, I want to talk to you about a certain person, that brings up mystery. Who the hell is he gonna talk about? Either about the main character Luffy, or Blackbeard, or about something or someone totally different. So I think this was a great cliffhanger, and yeah, if you make manga yourself, it's something to learn from. Yeah, One Piece is great for a reason. Some people don't like the appeal of it, the aesthetics at first. At first I was also a bit like, yeah. But when you get into it, you know, it's really amazing. But maybe it's just not for you, I don't know. Each person has different opinions, I guess. This will be, or already is, one of the classics, I believe, of manga history. Yeah man, I would recommend. Also let me know in the comments which person you think Shanks was talking about. Yes! So yeah, this was mostly this piece of Shanks. Alright ninjas, so thank you very much for watching once again. If you enjoyed this piece, drop a comment or suggestions or things like that. Just let me know. NINJABOX, Ishhhh, and see you guys the next time. Case out!
Choose your ways for more NINJAKEES.
Become a ninja.
You can seek me anywhere by the name NINJAKEES. Sneak in the upper arena in his nickname.
Become a ninja.